So I went through a period of depressive episodes, and to bring up all the courage to go and see a psychiatrist up to that point, there have been years of suffering, downward spiral, and then after that session with the psychiatrist, right, I don't think I felt any much better. So I decided to give up everything and I went traveling for half a year.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Will Experiment. Today, we are unlocking the secrets of happiness with a truly special guest, Simon Liao, co-founder of Happiness Initiative, a social enterprise dedicated to promoting happiness and well-being in Singapore, with the ultimate hope for people to live a more fulfilling life and take a preventive approach towards mental health conditions. Whether you are looking to improve your mindset, build meaningful relationships, or simply be happier, this conversation will offer you valuable insights to help you unlock the secret to true happiness and make this your best year yet. Listen on to make the world a better place. Hey Simon, thank you for jumping on this. I can't wait to dive into the conversation and all of the work they've done.
Hi, Brian, and hi to all the audience that's listening in.
For the person that's listening right now that may not be as familiar as with your work, could you share a bit more about your journey and the inspiration behind establishing Happiness Initiative? And what was the spark that motivated you to focus specifically on happiness and well-being?
I start with a brief introduction on Happiness Initiative, right? So, Happiness Initiative is primarily a research based social enterprise that focuses on building well being skills. And why that inspiration, right, is my own personal live experience. So, I went through a period of depressive episodes, and to bring up all the courage to go and see a psychiatrist up to that point, there have been years of suffering, downward spiral. And then after that session with the psychiatrist, right, I don't think I felt any much better. So I decided to give up everything and I went traveling for half a year. And like through that 6 months of traveling, I had a bit of a reflection. I'm just been thinking, right, that um, when people have a mental health episode or a mental health condition, it wouldn't have happened overnight. There would have been a prolonged period of suffering
Yeah.
and downward spiral. And what can we do to help people, right, before they even reach the point whereby they are being clinically diagnosed? So that's the inspiration. After the 6 months of traveling, I came back. I was searching online for any preventive work in the space of this psychological science. And I realized that, oh, there's this branch called positive psychology that focuses on happiness and well being. And I went to do my master's at UPenn and came back, and I have since been driving that important initiative, right? That we could build certain skill sets, we could build certain muscles, right, to prevent the downward spiral. And even though maybe some of us maybe have a predisposition to a mental health condition, at least we have some skill sets to prevent or to better mitigate it should we one day have a mental health episode.
As someone who is deeply involved in well-being research, what does the construct happiness means to you personally and how do you define it in your own life?
Wow. Happiness, right? Wow. It's interesting that you use the word construct uh, because not very many people actually understand this idea of construct, right? Happiness is a construct. Whether, what's how is the weather like today? Thunderstorm, sunny, hot. It is a construct. And how people operationalize a construct, right? In layman term is unpack the construct. So weather has been unpacked, right? In layman term, we can unpack weather by understanding the temperature, the humidity, maybe the wind speed. The same thing, happiness can be unpacked into a number of ways. One of the common way, right, is actually life evaluation. How we evaluate our life. That will be something that we may discuss later about the World Happiness Report. So life evaluation is a way that we try to unpack happiness. Another more common way, most of us would know, is life satisfaction. how satisfied are we with our life? Then, of course, another common way to unpack happiness would be positive effect and negative effect. To in lay terms, it means like positive emotions and negative emotions.
Yep.
So there are these few ways to unpack happiness, right? But something very close to my heart, if you were to ask me, what is happiness to me, right? If I were to measure happiness, what would it be? I would gravitate towards more of life evaluation or life satisfaction. They are pretty close, uh, slightly different. But if I go for one, it would be how satisfied are we with our life? Because when we are satisfied with our life, it's very much an experience of happiness in our life.
Recently, Singapore dropped to 34th in the World Happiness Report, losing its top spot in Asia. Given the country's wealth, development, and emphasis on success, what do you think is the most unexpected factor causing this decline that something most people won't immediately associate with happiness?
Let's spend some time. I've been tracking the World Happiness Report for more than 10 years. Okay. The first published report was in 2012. We were ranked 33. Okay. 2013, we are ranked 30th. And there's this up and down, right? Our best ranking was actually 2016. We were ranked 22nd. Okay. Then 2017, 26. 2018, we were ranked 34th again. Then last year, if we just move back to last year we are ranked 30th. This year we're back to 34th. So in fact, 34th is not our worst ranking per se. If you were to look across since 2012, right, we have ever ranked, at 34th. But 34th is our lowest ranking. So fingers crossed. Let's hope that we don't drop any lower than 34th, right? Okay, so we are back to where we were once at rank 34th. And interestingly, this ranking, right, is based on this very simple idea of unpacking this happiness construct using this idea called life evaluation. So it's what they measure called a Cantor ladder on a scale. So imagine you're on a ladder of life, right? At the top of the ladder, that's your best possible life. Where do you currently stand now? So on a 0 to 10, I believe that one of the reasons why researchers use that, right, to unpack happiness is because it's one of the easiest questions. It's just one question. It's easy. It captures quite a fair bit of things. So with that, our average is usually the last 2015 average is about 6.5, 6.565. So interestingly, when they try to understand what contributes to this number, right, there are 6 factors that they also collect along the way. They try to explain this idea of happiness, our life evaluation, how we evaluate our life. There are 6 factors. I'm going to read out these 6 factors: GDP, healthy life expectancy, our perception of corruption, generosity, social support, and freedom to make life choices. So I have been tracking these 6 factors and how that contribute to our concept of happiness. There are 3 factors that we have consistently been ranking top: GDP. Okay, consistently very top among 140 something countries that they capture this data. Healthy life expectancy is the second one. The third is perception of corruption. So we have very low perception of corruption to a point that we are among the top in the world. We have high healthy life expectancy. We have high GDP. Okay, so these 3 have been consistently, driving our happiness. But yet there are 3 other factors that have been consistently pretty low. Okay, and I think that these are the 3 things that is preventing us from breaking the ceiling to be the top 10 in the world. Okay, these 3 are generosity. In fact, in 2015, generosity, we are ranked 31st out of 147 countries. Social support is another factor that we are usually not high. We are ranked 42nd. And the last one is freedom to make life choices. We are ranked 53rd, 53. So we are almost 1/3 lower than your top country. We're in the one-third band. So, um, if one of the things, if you were to ask me, what could possibly be, preventing us from breaking the ceiling to be the top 10 happiest country in the world? We have never been top 20 to break the ceiling. I think these are the three factors that may uh, need a bit of work: generosity, social support, and the more important one, freedom to make life choices.
In your incredible work with schools, organizations, and communities, what have been some of the more rewarding experiences when trying to foster a culture of well being?
My most rewarding experiences across the different age group, right, is when people learn the well-being skills, they understand how to apply these well-being skills, and they begin to make life choices for themselves. So the very fact that one of the contributing factors is the freedom to make life choices, right, has been preventing people from being happy. And when people picked up these well-being skills, they connect with something that they do care about. They maybe break through a belief that they have of themselves, and they begin to make different life choices. That is my most rewarding and our most rewarding experiences.
From where you stand, have you noticed any generational differences in how people in Singapore view happiness and mental health? If so, how do you address the unique needs of different age groups in your initiatives then?
Wow. um, Wow, that's a pretty difficult question, right? Because we are talking about generation differences, and always one generation will feel that the other generation don't understand them. Okay, but broadly speaking, I think there are three broad generations. So generation is trying to, I call it the studying generation. They are learning. They are trying to pick up skill sets. They are learning, right? The second generation is where the working generation. Okay, then you have a third generation, right? That is interestingly, I call it the meaning generation. Okay, making sense. And the age gap is not very clean between working and meaning, because I have seen it with close friends and even loved ones. When they are in the studying generation, right, all they really care about is to get a very good job. And in the working generation, what people do care about is to climb their career ladder. But somehow there will be a shift in people, right? Then suddenly they realize that, oh, climbing the career ladder is not everything. Then they cross over to a phase in their life, whereby meaning is more important. The meaning in the work that they do, the meaning in the pursuit that they have, that becomes a lot more important to them. So, because every phase, every generation, I think every phase is different, right? I I I think that what is important is to be able to cater to the different phases. For that phase of studying, right? What we need to be able to cater for, well-being skills for them to be able to thrive in their study, for them to be able to do well, for them to be able to connect with what they're learning. In the working phase, I think a lot of people will benefit from how to balance job demands and the resources that they have. So, so most of our participants actually benefit from that. The last phase, when they go into the meaning phase, right, is to be able to help them to connect with what they truly care about, and how do they begin to spend more time on the things that they care about. So I think that every generation will go through these three phases. The difference that we experience is possibly because we are just in different phase of our lives.
The Harvard Study of Adult Development, one of the longest running studies of human happiness and well being, has found that close relationships are the key to long term happiness, even more so than wealth or fame. From where you stand, how do you think the rise of social media is affecting our ability to form and nurture the deep, meaningful connections that contribute to true happiness?
Wow, that's a very interesting question when you talk about a connection, right? About relationships, and social media came about. What the biggest drive of social media is connectivity. People say, "Oh, because we have social media, we can get easily connected." Um, I think I think it's a very personal view, right? I think that the issue with social media is while there's some degree of connectivity, right? But it makes us lose that true relationship, the true meaningful relationship that we
Mm.
have. How I think about social media is that it makes us care about a lot of things, a lot of people that may be quick to judge us, may be quick to forget us, but yet the very very people that we should spend time to forge true meaningful relationships, right? We may have neglected it. So I think it's always a balance. To some of us who use social media for different reasons, right? Continue to use them, but more importantly, I think we shouldn't neglect to forge those meaningful, deep relationships. And those meaningful, deep relationships, right? I think we need, in order to forge them, we need to make time for it.
How do you personally cope with moments of doubt or frustration, especially when you encounter setbacks or resistance in your mission?
Wow. Okay. And for me, I would love to go back to your descriptions, right? In the space between life and death. And that's, attributed to you in the space between life and death, right? I think, these two shall pass. Yeah. So my way of looking at life is that life is too short to be upset or to be angry or to hold any negative emotions for too long. Um, and they're always down. There's always setbacks. There's always challenges. But I think that give that space, experience it. But I would always remind myself that life is just too short, and these too shall pass. And yeah, and make the best out of the remaining time we have on this earth.
Simon, looking ahead, what's the ultimate vision for Happiness Initiative? What changes do you hope to see in both individual and societal approaches to well being in the next, say, 5 to 10 years?
Our vision, happiness initiative is to create a world, right, where individual and organization can thrive. We want people to be at their best, whatever they do. And I think that there are three selves. There are three selves, right? That I hope people would develop. The first is self-awareness. And why self-awareness? Because we are all unique. What we care about, what we love, what are our struggles, what are our inspiration are very, very unique. So, but we need to make time to be self-aware. The second is self-actualize. Okay, and that is one of the top level of this Maslow hierarchy of human development, right? To be able to self-actualize, to bring out the best in us, whatever we do. Not only do we love what we do, right? We do what we do with love. Okay, self-actualize. The third self is actually self-transcend. Is one of the unpublished level of Maslow hierarchy of human development, but much later was was discovered. He studied human development, right? Originally thought as self-actualized when people realized their true potential, but then there was one highest level that came up in his unpublished work was actually self-transcendent, which means that we can truly transcend our ego, our self-centeredness, our baggage, our struggles that hold us together, that hold us down as human beings, right? I hope that we would be able to self-transcend.
If you could give your younger self one piece of advice about well being, what would it be?
I've been thinking about this question of late, right? I'm not sure, am I now in the phase of the meaning phase already? I think is to learn how to manage my anger a lot more better. Mm. And a lot of my anger, right, came about childhood struggle. So my mom was a compulsive gambler, and then it was a very, very traumatic childhood, and it wasn't easy. And I think that one generation of pain, right, got passed on to another generation of pain. But of course, with a lot of self-awareness, self-actualization, and now trying to self-transcend some of these pain and struggle and baggage, right? I think I would go back to tell my younger self, right? to be able to learn how to manage my anger a lot more better. And to remind myself, in the space between life and death, these two shall pass. There's no need to be upset for too long.
Simon, as we close it off shortly, for the person that's listening right now who might be struggling to take action towards improving their mental health and well being, what's one small but impactful step they can take right now to start making a meaningful shift? And where can people reach out to you if they would like to work with you?
I share one small step. It's a random act of kindness. Random act of kindness. Anything, anything. You could just go out, right? Buy a stranger a cup of coffee. Okay. You could just go out to help someone, pick up some litter. Anything. You could feed a stray. You could do anything, any random act of kindness. And there is enough evidence to say that, to show that not only do you feel better, um, there's some effect that would actually generate more pro-social behavior if someone actually also received that random act of kindness. So not only are you benefiting yourself, right? If someone benefited from your random act of kindness, they do also pay it forward. So, what is one small thing? A random act of kindness. And how to reach out to us, right? The idea about social support that we talk about and how important is social support, right? I was just thinking about a non-profit program that we run that is called Well-Being Circles. Well-Being Circles. And feel free to sign up for Well-Being Circles. It is a non-profit work that we do. It has been running for 8 waves already. Every wave is about 8 weeks. So it has been ongoing since 2022. Join Wellbeing Circles, form a community of like-minded individuals who want to learn well-being skills, right? And everyone is there, and they're very pro-social. And I think you would be able to find a good social support from Wellbeing Circles.
Simon, I am so thankful that we had this conversation today and the knowledge that you've shared. Thank you once again for taking the time out.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian, and thank you to all the listeners. Yeah, have a great day.
We've been speaking to Simon Liao, co-founder of Happiness Initiative.
I'm ready to